This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Week in Review. I have Chrissy back with me. You guys remember her from a few weeks back, prior to all this insanity that we are now going through. And that insanity, do I even need to tell you, is Cody, Roman, Rock. The debate rages on social media. It is a toxic one and an exhausting one at best. If you want to engage in it, it's right there for the taking. And we're going to dive into that in just a minute with Chrissy, as you guys know, and got some great feedback with her from the last few weeks. So, Chrissy, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here. And are you staying sane during all of this civil war with wrestling fans right now?
No, I'm trying to. And I'll be 100% honest. After Friday's episode of SmackDown, my brain was just like, what is happening? What is going on? And I told my husband, I was like, I need a melatonin because I know I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm going to be processing this all night. So I'm going to make me a glass of wine and some melatonin so I can actually sleep tonight. And then woke up on Saturday to social media and honestly, the news even going absolutely wild over this story. Even my husband, who is not a wrestling fan, like it's on in my house because I'm watching it, but he has no clue who the characters are, was like, what's going on with The Rock and Cody? I'm like, how do you even know who Cody is?
Right.
Well, it's hit him. So that's when I know it's big.
Right. That's exactly right. When it's hitting people that don't even watch the product. WWE, for all the backlash that they're getting for this decision by seemingly half the fan base, they still have to be loving the fact that people are talking about something that's not related to Vince McMahon and the real awfulness that's going on with him and Brock and others. I mean, as that continues to evolve into a worse and worse scenario, they must be loving the fact that, okay, fans are angry, but they're angry at a storyline that's in a fantasy environment. They're not angry at the company per se for something that the CEO of the company did that they were talking about just a few days ago. So the attention has been diverted. It's a very convenient byproduct of what is going on with The Rock and Cody and Roman Reigns. And you know what? We still don't even know nothing's official. As of this recording, The Rock came out seemingly taking the place symbolically of Cody, but there's still nothing official.
I think that's what makes my head hurt is I'm like, I want to see this play out. I feel like I'm going over these different things in my head and I'm seeing it online. I'm seeing obviously the "We Want Cody" hashtags. And part of me just wants to tell everybody, let's calm down because we have no clue what to expect on Monday. Although I was just on Instagram and I guess Cody had an issue or a run-in with Shinsuke at a house show in Knoxville. So they have a match on Monday. And of course, everyone is like pissed off about that. Like, this is not the story we want, actually. We didn't ask for the Shinsuke story to be brought up again. But at the same time, I'm like, how many more weeks do we have left until Mania? There is so much story still to happen. And I think even The Rock had made a post, something similar to that nature of the story still needs to be laid out. But my brain hurts.
Already. I'm already exhausted and nothing's even been put pen to paper yet as far as we know. WrestleMania is 2 months away. That's 8 weeks that we have. That's a lot of television time. If you do the math quickly, that's like, what, 8 times 3 hours of Raw? That's 24 hours of Raw that we have to go.
That's just Raw. That's not including SmackDown right. Or the Elimination Chamber. So we have a lot of story to unfold. And I will say, coming from someone who, I am a huge Rock fan. Literally, my child dresses up like The Rock every year for Halloween. So I am very excited about this, but I do get the anger because of how it kind of played out. Like I thought this was going to happen at the Rumble. So when the Roman Reigns, when that match came second, I was like, oh, I was immediately defeated. And I was like, well, this is not happening. The Rock and Roman is not going to happen this year. And mentally, I had moved on and was mentally prepared for Cody. And I'm not a Cody fan. I don't dislike Cody, but I'm not ride or die for Cody. But I can see why people are pissed. I feel like I don't know. I feel like WWE maybe handled this. If they would have handled this at the Rumble, I don't think this would have been so aggressive and people would have been so upset. But at the same time, this is on TMZ. Like you said, this is all over the place. So well played, WWE, for switching the tables and switching the conversation to something, like you said, that's more storyline based and not based on the situation with Vince. So I think they played this the way that they wanted to play this.
Maybe I think they're getting a little bit lucky too with how this is playing out. I don't honestly believe that the main purpose of bringing The Rock back was to divert people's attention. I think some of it had to do with the injuries that have been plaguing WWE, specifically CM Punk, that they didn't know he was injured at the Rumble, obviously, until after it happened. So I think things really changed once Punk went down. I mean, that sent things into a domino effect. Obviously, Brock Lesnar being taken out of the equation indefinitely, Seth Rollins being a bit shaky. So there are major players that are now out that they need to kind of fill those gaps and fill those holes in. And they're doing that now. And The Rock being brought in, here's the thing. I am with you on Cody being not the most appealing babyface in the world. I mean, I've gone over it chapter and verse as to why I believe that. But I think that the biggest thing that those who are not in support of Rock need to realize is that The Rock and Roman Reigns is something that needs to happen quickly. It's something that is literally a dream match, whether you want to admit it or not, or lie to yourself. It is. I know that the timing of it's the biggest problem, but also The Rock and Roman Reigns, this can't really happen. For this opportunity is not going to present itself many more times, if at all. When you move forward, Rock is not a young guy. He's got a million things going on with movies. He's canceled the last 2 WrestleManias because of his movie schedule. He was supposed to face Roman Reigns. He's got the XFL. He's now a board member on TKO. So, and everyone's healthy. So it's time to strike now. Whereas Cody and Roman, you could continue to present that opportunity for years to come. Now, I'm not saying Cody should be champion in 5 years, but the point is, if you're going to do this mega match, this dream match, you got to kind of strike now.
I 100% agree with you on that, because like you said, like The Rock isn't a young chap anymore. And the time is now. And plus, when you think about it, WrestleMania 40, like that just has a big deal attached to it because it's the 40th WrestleMania. Like, that's huge. This is the time it's supposed to happen. And honestly, that's what I was so upset about at the Rumble, was I was like, this is it. This was supposed to be the year. This makes more sense for it to happen right now. And my brain kind of hurts on how this is going to play out. I feel like everyone is very upset about if the title is on the line. We don't even know that yet. So I feel like we can kind of slow down there and freaking out if The Rock is going to get the title. And my sweet husband, who knows nothing about wrestling, was like, I don't understand. Why does The Rock need to be the champion? I'm like, he doesn't. In reality, he doesn't. But as you mentioned, Matt, this is a dream match. And like you said, this is something that, honestly, I feel like all fans have been talking about for years now. But the timing of it now is I feel like the timing of it is where everyone is super upset.
That is exactly it. But there will be no perfect time where people don't feel like The Rock is going to come in and steal someone's main event. I mean, if they did it last year, they would have complained, well, it's Cody's year. He won the Rumble. Then this year, Cody wins the Rumble again. And they're like, well, no, he needs a redemption story. He needs to finish his story. So there's never be a perfect time to do it. There's no such thing if you're a Cody fan and they're going to have Roman face The Rock at a WrestleMania at all, that you feel that it's the right time to do it. I understand the frustration, though. If I'm a Cody fan, I'm sitting here feeling if all of the assumptions play out with nothing official yet, if it's The Rock taking the title match from Cody and Cody saying, yeah, no problem, I understand the frustration, because you're building to this redemption all year. All the fans have been thinking about, when is Roman going to get back to Cody? When is Cody going to get back to Roman? And they finally get to it, and The Rock steps ahead of the line. I totally understand the frustration. The other point, though, is, if you're the organization, if you're in management, you're TKO, you're the one who has a monetary stake in WWE. You own the company, your endeavor. Wouldn't your main priority in a for-profit organization making money? I mean, I understand that sounds shallow and it sounds very kind of overplayed, or it sounds dehumanizing, but they're there to make money. And their biggest event of the year, who's going to draw more money, more eyeballs, more ad revenue than The Rock, who is arguably one of the biggest stars in the world. So I understand Cody's story being a big deal, but there's also money. I hate to say it. It sounds like insensitive, but it's reality when you're dealing with a publicly traded organization that has stakeholders, shareholders, sponsors, and go down the line. So I hate to say it, but it's also a factor.
Yeah, it really is. And when you think about it, just look at what this weekend has brought. People who have no clue or not into wrestling at all are now familiar with this story. So what is that going to pull? That's going to pull more eyes on WrestleMania, more people being plugged in. And that's ultimately, like you said, that's the end game, is you want more fans, you want more followers, you want more viewership. So therefore you're going to be able to make more money. And The Rock brings that. And I love The Rock for it.
Yes.
I love The Rock so much, and I know Cody fans are hurting right now. And like you said, I understand their frustrations completely. But as a Rock fan, I am living for this moment right now.
There's no question where Chrissy stands in the Rock or Cody camp. I mean, it's very, very clear, I think, where you stand, and I'm with you in there for different reasons. But I'm with you in the Rock camp. I'm also sympathetic to Cody. Now, I guess I'll have to ask you though, moving forward, how would you do this? Or how do you think WWE is going to play this? Do you think that they're actually going to have Rock versus Roman for the title? Do you think it'll be non-title? Do you think that I have my prediction of Cody losing to or beating Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber, and you have Cody as champion there, and then the rest is Rock Roman with no title? But there's a lot of ways to go with this, including a triple threat that's been thrown out there. I mean, what do you think, and or would you do between now and WrestleMania 40? How would you play it?
Honestly, like my brain hurts. I can't even wrap my head around it, because I had an idea of what I thought would happen at the Rumble. Like, my thought process behind that would be fatal 4-way, perfect opportunity for Roman to lose the belt because he wouldn't even have to be pinned. So I thought Rock's music would cue, Randy would pin AJ, Randy would win, and then we could go on and have this wonderful storyline of, the tribal chief. But now I really don't know. And my gut is telling me, as big of as a Rock fan as I am, I don't think this needs to be a title match. To me, it makes absolutely no sense for The Rock to be champion. And B, it kind of makes it more predictable, because in reality, are they really going to let Roman lose the belt to The Rock? I don't think they will. I think this is maybe another way to keep the title on Roman longer, so that way he can possibly beat that Hogan record, which is that would have him holding it to September?
Yep.
Which is a very long time. And I was talking to my husband about this, who has no clue what any of this means, but now I have someone to talk to who does. The whole Roman and his era and his reign that he has, what makes me so upset about that is I feel like if they would have presented Roman like Brock, like a beast who just cannot be stopped, versus someone who every single match, even though it's 3 times a year, has to have someone help him. I feel like they have made him look so weak, and there is nothing weak about Roman, but it makes him look that way, and it makes this whole reign not memorable, or not necessarily not memorable. Obviously, this is going to go down in history, but it makes it not as fun. That could be a whole nother podcast episode, but that's what I'm thinking is if this is for the title, I feel like Roman's not going to lose it. I really don't think he will.
That's the other thing. I'm glad you brought that up too, is that all of us seem to be, whatever camp you're in, we're overlooking the fact that Roman Reigns could very well walk through WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania 40 and walk past it as champion. And Cody and or The Rock and or whoever else steps up is going to be beaten in the same formulaic way that they have been defeated over the last year and a half, 2 years. Which is really when the second half of his run has been really where they focused on interference. Yeah. Oh, there's Solo Sikoa with a Samoan spike. There's Jimmy Uso. Up, spear 1, 2, 3. That's been essentially the formula for the second half of his run, which has been really frustrating. And hate to say it, his matches have become boring because of that. And I hate to say that because he's improved so much. But yeah, this is one that I think will go down in the record books, but I think all of us are looking at this and saying, well, Roman will probably drop it, but wait a minute. What if he doesn't? What if no matter who is facing him at WrestleMania, triple threat, one-on-one, Cody, Rock, Rollins, who the hell knows? They just plow through, and then you don't see him till SummerSlam, and then he's going to September as champion. I will say this though. If Roman Reigns walks out of WrestleMania 40 as champion, he is going to beat Hulk Hogan's record for sure. I mean, I can say that pretty confidently.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So, I mean, this whole thing, I will say too, on a separate kind of human level, it has brought out some of the worst in people. I mean, because you go on social media, and social media, it just generally is a toxic place to be, but you're seeing the worst versions of people where you can't even talk about it right now. And it speaks to a different, or really a larger issue, I think, with the culture. I'm not trying to veer off wrestling, but anytime there's a controversial topic or semi-controversial topic, whether it's obviously politics and religion, you're going to get it, scorched earth. But when even with wrestling now, something that in the grand scheme of our lives really isn't that big of a deal, people attack personally now. They don't even try to debate you on the actual issues. They just try to attack you personally and discredit you instead of having the intelligence to debate with you. And I think that speaks to a larger issue culturally. So anybody that dares to go on social media right now, just be prepared that it's not going to probably even be about wrestling. It's going to be about your account or how many followers you have or some kind of personal thing they can try to dig up on you, it's sad, really.
I know. And honestly, I was a little anxious about this episode because, I'm very much Team Rock here. And I was like, oh gosh, everyone's going to hate me.
No, I'd say only half. I mean, only half. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm.
I'm a nice person. I'm a good human. I just have loved The Rock my entire life. So
and I think really that's
the moment.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's the overarching message, I think, really is you're passionate about this. I'm passionate about this. Everyone who listens to wrestling podcasts are passionate about wrestling. Most fans don't listen to podcasts. So those that do are kind of the super fan. And so I think all of us really need to take this to heart is it's wrestling. Let's calm down. Okay. It's not going to affect your life in that big of a way. Okay. You may feel sympathy for Cody if this doesn't work out for him, or you're angry maybe that he's not in the main event if that plays out. But again, guys, this is wrestling. Okay. I love wrestling. You love wrestling. Those that listen love wrestling. But I think we need to take a step back and just reanalyze things and put things into perspective. Okay. Because it's seemingly getting out of hand on social media. So
100%. Do you think that this will kind of turn Cody into kind of like with Daniel Bryan with the Yeah movement, where it's the good guy, the hero? I've seen so many posts about people calling Cody Rhodes their hero. Do you think that is kind of where this will eventually take it?
Yeah, I think, well, no pun intended. Yeah, yes movement, whatever. I mean, there's a yeah movement and a yes movement. So there's Daniel Bryan and LA Knight. But so here's one thing before I get to that related to this, though, is the whole social media thing that I talked about. Those that are in the Cody camp are pointing to the number of dislikes that WWE's video clip of SmackDown with The Rock coming out. They're pointing to that as evidence of, see, they need to just change everything. And it's like, okay, well, if WWE did that, number one, that would set an awful precedent that you can just click a dislike button and WWE goes, oh, okay, let's change things. And so they're just going to change their main event because a whole bunch of random people click a button on social media. I mean, like, is that the metric we're using to change the whole thing? So it's a very kind of weak argument, I have to say. And it also is kind of, I think, a social contagion where people see something and they want to be a part of it. So they just pile on, even though they don't really care. They just want to add to it to see what WWE does. So I think there's some of that going on. But this yes movement, yeah movement, whatever it is, LA Knight or Daniel Bryan equivalent, I mean, we'll see, because people's attention spans these days are also super small and they'll just move on to the next thing. So either WWE is looking at this as, let's weather the storm, let's let people get it out of their system, and they'll be on to something else in like 2 minutes. And that's very possible. We have no attention span today. So I think that's very possible, but I am very interested to see what the response is on camera tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. They have to address it, even if it's in an indirect way.
Yeah, they're going to. And I think I feel like The Rock may even address it at some point. He's somewhat addressing it on his social media. So I think whenever he comes back to the show, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, I'm assuming SmackDown since that's where Roman is, I feel like he may address the negativity and everything. And Thursday, they're doing their big press release. So that's going to even be before SmackDown.
Yes.
So I'm sure they're going to address it then.
Well, that's also it too. They have to have things kind of locked up by Thursday. They're doing a big press event in Vegas. So they have to have everything kind of lined up by then and their decisions locked in, and not just go by the way with like the will of the fans or like the way the wind blows. Oh, the fans are not happy. Let's change this. I don't think they're going to do that. Even though Vince is gone, they can't do that. They have to just see their plans through, take whatever heat they're going to take, and just continue on with their plan. And I respect that. So, but you're right. I think The Rock has to publicly address it. Cody, I think, will as well. And you know what, for you Cody fans out there, how does this not even light more of a fire under you and support him even more? I mean, that's also the silver lining in this. I tweeted this out earlier, X this out, or whatever you call it now, is if you're a Cody fan, doesn't this even make you like light a fire of support behind Cody Rhodes even more? Doesn't this make you even more anxious and more just energized to see him as champion? You know, so there is that as well, where the support of Cody is overwhelming now. That that's something to be said for Cody, even though this is disappointing if he's not in the main event. The support has never been more intense behind him.
And can you imagine, like, with this amount of support, when he does finally end his story and have his moment, that pop is going to be absolutely insane from the Cody fans. So I think the build up to this, like I said, we just probably need to calm down. And when Cody finally has his moment, it is going to be a really magical moment because, like you said, this just should like build up that fire in Cody and finishing his story.
Yeah, I agree. I think if no one takes anything else away from this podcast, I would just say tonight, like, everybody, let's take a breath. It is fun to engage and get all, antsy at battling someone you've never met on social media, this random person. I understand that. But let's just kind of chill out. And I do think that Cody Rhodes is going to beat Roman Reigns for that championship. Like you said, the pop will be massive. And the thing is, the one last little thing I want to talk about with this, and then we'll move on topics here, is he said, that's the belt I want. And he said that he's going to take him down and take everything from him. So I think that to me says that it's, and this is my guess, is that Cody still takes the belt from Roman, but it's at Elimination Chamber. And then The Rock faces Roman non-title for pride, for the family's position, for the family's respect, for head of the table at WrestleMania, where maybe The Rock beats Roman at WrestleMania and Roman Reigns is torn down. And then when he returns, he's a massive babyface. I think that's maybe the way they go, where Rock doesn't have the belt on the line. Cody still becomes champion and walks into WrestleMania as champion, and everybody's happy. I think, to me, that's how I do it.
And that still gives Cody his moment at WrestleMania. Instead of winning at Mania, he's walking into Mania as champion. Right. And that, to me, is a phenomenal way to start a new chapter in his story. Because like you have always said, him winning the championship doesn't end his story. I think it just starts a new chapter. So chapter 1 being walking in as champ at WrestleMania, I think that's a good chapter. Sign me up for that book.
And successfully defend it, because when Cody wins, he's not going to lose for over, I think, a year plus, and he should have a long run. So
too, I mean, he's literally the face of the company. The man is on y'all's videos game, so he definitely, once he finally wins the championship, he should have it for a year. Hopefully, I don't think we need any more 2,000 day reigns anymore. If we could stop that, that would be great. But I do think he'll be champion for a while.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. And you know what?
I want him to finish his story. So don't come at me. I do want Cody to finish his story, but I also want my Rock Roman match.
And see, you can have both. People are thinking that you got to have one or the other, and you need to make a decision. It's like you can have both. I just laid out how you do it. So, all right. Well, let's move on. We'll change topics here after 20 plus minutes on Cody, Roman, Rock, but it's a topic that is just on fire right now. So from one Royal Rumble winner to another, Bayley this week, we finally get the turn that all of us have been waiting for like, I think since we saw them debut at SummerSlam, I mean, like a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it was, 2 years ago, we finally get that moment where Bayley is not only a babyface, which has been a long time coming, but she gets an awesome pop from the crowd. She is attacked by Damage Control in a kind of not an unforeseen way, but in a way that you didn't see coming, where she knew what they were saying in Japanese, which was kind of a cool moment on SmackDown with her speaking Japanese briefly. So, I mean, I like this turn. Her challenging Io is not a surprise, but what did you think of this moment with the women's side of things?
I loved it. And I love that it wasn't a typical turn. I love that Bayley came into it knowing that they were talking about her and that she was the one who exposed it and kind of basically like lit a fire under them turning on her. I love Bayley. I'm excited to see Bayley as a babyface, and this version of Bayley, like the side ponytail headband version of Bayley, I wasn't a huge fan of. She was phenomenal in the ring. I just wasn't a fan of that type of character. But now to see her kind of as like a grown woman handling business and as a baby face, I'm excited for this. I think it'll be a really good match. I'm excited to see how it plays out between now and Mania. I did notice that Dakota, correct?
Yes.
The fact that she wasn't on SmackDown, I'm going to be curious to see how she plays into this. Is she going to be on Bayley's side and potentially turn on Bayley, or will she automatically be on Damage Control's side? So I'm wondering how she's going to play into this as well. But that's going to be a really good match. Both of them are phenomenal in the ring, so I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, this is going to be a phenomenal in-ring match. Now, the promos may be you may struggle, obviously, because of the language barrier for Io. She can speak English, but not in a very fluent kind of typical wrestling promo way that you'd see someone battle in the ring. So that part of it, I'm kind of tapering my expectations, but you can still do great video packages. You could even do a sit-down interview with both of them in the back and have her speak clearly without the crowd noise interfering and being able to understand what Io's saying. So there's ways to kind of get around it, but I'm excited for their actual matchup. The build is going to be phenomenal for the next 8 weeks. It's a lot of TV time, right? Like, I mean, we just discussed, you can only build it so much and so fast. So they may just forego some of the in-ring stuff and do a video package 1 week to remind you or whatever. You know, it's a lot of time to fill, but I'm excited for this. I'm excited for Bayley. And like you said, this version of Bayley as a babyface character, I don't know what this looks like, but I'm here for it because, as you said, that side ponytail, aw shucks kind of character was never really something I was involved in and engaged in as well. In ring, she was always phenomenal, but I don't know what this is going to look like. I hope she doesn't revert back. I would imagine she's evolved and matured into an actual grown woman babyface character. I don't think she's going to revert back. So I'm excited for this. The long time coming, and I don't think Bayley's been a babyface in like 5 years. It's been a long time.
It has been a very long time. And I'm hoping that they give Io the Shinsuke treatment as far as like when his promos, like between him and Seth, oh my gosh, those were so good. Those were so captivating. And I feel like if they give her that treatment leading up to Mania, then it's going to be she's going to have great promos. It's going to evolve this story. And we're really going to be able to get to know her a bit better because I feel like during this reign as championship, I don't really know that much about her. And she's been champion for a while now. So I think if they give her the Shinsuke treatment as far as those videos, the promos, the backstage interviews, things like that, then this could be a lot of fun on her side too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is something that I think is going to be beneficial for Io, even though we all know she's probably going to lose to Bayley at WrestleMania, and she should. I mean, let's be honest. Like she probably should lose to Bayley. Bayley should be the one to take over. Io hasn't exactly had the most memorable run, to be nice about it. Io, I mean, I hate to say it, but ever since she cashed in, it's been kind of underwhelming to say the least with her run. It's not been the worst run of all time. I mean, I've seen worse, but Io as champion has been kind of on the back burner, and not a lot of people have been talking about her run. It's been more about when is Bayley going to turn rather than actually talking about the champion. So I feel for Io, but she can make a really good name for herself and make this match memorable, make this build memorable. So, well, I want to move on from one SmackDown women's segment to another, and that's Tiffany Stratton coming in, and she faces Michin. So what did you think about this?
So I don't watch NXT, and it's not because I don't want to, it's just a matter of time. So I'm not super familiar with her other than I think she had that brief feud with Becky. And when I was at the show in Memphis for Raw a few months ago, she was there, made an appearance. So that's the extent of what I know about her. But I like her. And it may be because I am very girly. I like pink. I like glam. Give it to me all. So I resonate with her and her pink. I'm like, who is this queen? I love it. And she's really good. Like, she is fun to watch. She is athletic as hell. She looks great. I am here for Tiffany, and I do love a good heel, and I feel like she kind of gives us that queen heel that we're going to be missing with Charlotte. Even though when Charlotte left, she was a baby face. I have a hard time thinking of Charlotte as a baby face. But I feel like she's going to give us that, what we are going to miss with not having Charlotte around, that athleticism, that star-like quality, how beautiful and how strong she is. So I cannot wait to see her more and get to know her more. I mean, this women's division has me so excited. Like, oh my gosh, they are stacked with phenomenal women who are talented, who are strong. I cannot wait to see where Jade goes. Jade blows me away. I mean, when she walked out at the Rumble, I stood up and I was like, holy crap. And I follow this girl on Instagram, so I know what she looks like. But seeing her in a stadium walking out and her having that moment, and then seeing her dominate in the ring and lift up Nia Jax like she was picking up her purse, I was like, what is this woman? I cannot wait to see her more. And I'm excited to see all of the updates and the changes with the women's division. Naomi being back, I loved her moment at the Rumble. It gave me chills. I was so happy that she got the welcome that she had back. Naomi's fun to watch in the ring. She's also fun to look at. She's another beautiful woman. So holy crap, this women's division is amazing. And as a woman fan, I'm like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that moment with Naomi coming back, while it was rumored and a lot of people did expect it, it was still cool to see and hear the reaction for her with her coming back. And you could see the emotion on her face. I remember watching her, and you can see when they switch from wrestling character to real human being.
Yeah.
And you saw that kind of shift with the welcome back chants, and she got emotional. And I was talking about moments. That was a moment with Naomi, and I was excited to see her back, and we'll see how she kind of fits into this stacked roster. Jade Cargill obviously is the one that everyone's talking about, because I mean, her physique is like it's otherworldly. She's obviously a very attractive woman on top of it. That doesn't hurt. And she performs well in the ring. I mean, we don't know, if you haven't watched AEW, which I haven't really watched much of it at all. We don't know yet as WWE fans exactly what she's capable of inside the ring, other than we know she's ultra strong. And that moment with her eliminating Nia Jax is something that we'll remember for a while. But I think that you're right. This women's division is really doing, I mean, it's never been better, has it not? I mean, you have Tiffany Stratton, who feels like she's been there for 4 years, and she's just debuted on the main roster this week. A really good match with Michin. I love her moonsault. Her gimmick of being the center of the universe it's solid. I mean, you kind of know right off the bat that she's an egotistical, which is good.
I love it.
Exactly. Like, it's not complicated. So I really enjoy that. And, honestly, and this may be a bit controversial, but I don't think WWE needs Sasha Banks. I know that people want her back, and yes, the women's division from a star power perspective would be improved, but their women's division is so stacked generally in the company that I don't think we need Sasha Banks back, as much as I understand people are I understand why they want her back, but we don't need her.
Because we have such a good quality group of women wrestlers right now, which it's, to be a fan since I was a child, to see where the women's division was to what it is now, I feel so proud to be a wrestling fan now. And I always have been. But when you look about what the women, how they were treated, when I grew up during the Attitude Era compared to where they are now, oh, I love it so much. I just hope that they all get enough TV time to tell their story and to be active, because they all deserve it. These women, you could tell, just work their butts off to get to where they are. And even though, like, I would say half the Rumble was filled with a lot of hard botches to watch. I mean, a lot of it I was getting secondhand embarrassment. But once Becky came out, it was like, okay, this is what women's wrestling should look like.
Well, speaking of Bayley, I have to ask you, or Becky, what did you make of? I mean, I know in the Rumble she didn't do a whole lot. She essentially was a rag doll, which was weird. I mean, she came out and had her flurry, and then just sat on the mat and got stomped for the rest of the match. Obviously not winning, but she did add star power. But as far as this dynamic with her and Rhea, and now Nia Jax on Raw attacking Rhea and putting her down, how are you enjoying, or what do you think about the women's side of things on the Raw on the Raw brand. Are you enjoying what's going on? Do you think they'll get to Becky Rhea? What do you think the end game is for that?
Right now, I kind of feel bad for Becky. Like, I feel like she's lost. I feel like her character is lost. I feel like at one of your, during your weekly, when you read your emails, someone wrote in about her voice, and now that's all I see. That is all I see. So thank you for that to that listener,
Yes.
because now it's ruined me. And I'm like, can you just talk normal?
Yes, it's so true.
So now I don't know where Becky lays in all this. And Becky is so talented, but I feel like her character, something needs a reboot. And I don't know what that is, but I feel like I'm more excited about Rhea and Nia, which is wild, because I would have never thought that I would be more excited about a Nia Jax match than I would a Becky Lynch match. But right now, the way that Nia's character is growing and building, I'm more excited to watch that than I am with Becky. So I'm hoping that there's something is a breakthrough, because I love Becky. Becky is one of my favorite wrestlers to watch in the ring. I'm just thinking her character feels dead right now.
It does, and I never thought that I would say that Becky versus Rhea at WrestleMania doesn't sound super exciting, because Becky's character has been, like you said, it's felt stale for a while. It's like it's past its expiration in a weird way, yet she's also still an incredible talent. So it's a very strange place for her to be in, where people react to her because it's Becky Lynch, but it feels like she needs a fresh coat of paint. It feels like, I don't know if turning her heel is the answer, or giving her an edge, or just changing her look and her music, or all of the above. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm not pretending to, but like we just know what the issue is. We just don't know what the solution is. So yeah, it does. It feels like she just needs a kick in the backside. Her character anyway, of like, okay, you need to change. We need to change something here. And even her interviews are kind of depressing, where she's like, yeah, I know I'm not the strongest and I'm the underdog. I know, but gosh darn, I'm going to fight for it. It's like, no, like you're saying you're the man and you're acting like anything but. I mean, it's not very appealing the way she's even talking right now. It makes you kind of feel a little pity for the character.
Yeah, it's exactly.
It's weird.
I feel sad for Becky, and I'm like, who? This used to be the man, and I'm like, now I'm like, oh, Becky, and I'm like, oh, yeah. It's so weird to feel that way about Becky. I would have never thought we would be here, but I think something needs to change. I don't know what it is, but I hope leading up to Mania that she gets some type of boost that she needs.
But like you said, I'm excited for, and I never thought I'd be sitting here saying this, for Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. I mean, Nia Jax, who has overachieved in my mind incredibly over the last several months, and I have not been a Nia Jax fan. She has done an excellent job of kind of finding her voice. In ring, she's seemingly improved. Her presence is there. I'm not saying induct her into the Hall of Fame right now, but I'm saying like she's improved a lot, and she's made her character a lot more interesting than I ever thought it could be. And while there's no chance Rhea Ripley's losing at Chamber, it's still a fun match that we're going to be able to watch and see a moment or two where, oh my God, Nia could win.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see Rhea in her home country. Like, man, would be absolutely insane. I can't wait to see that.
Oh yeah, I mean, they could put anybody against Rhea. There's no chance. They shouldn't even bother trying to keep her heel in that match. Yeah. I mean, there's no chance. And I don't know if
keep her heel now they're struggling with, because I mean, every time she comes out, everyone goes crazy in a good way. And even when we saw her live, she came out. I'm not 100% sure if she came out with Dom. I may be making that up. But as soon as Dom came out, of course, everyone booed. But when she came out, everyone was clapping and excited and screaming. I'm like, she is not a heel. I know she is technically, but you can't help but love Rhea because she's such a badass.
She is, and people are ready. And I think we talked about that last time, but I know, was it SmackDown or Raw this week where she appeared and I saw her, they showed video of her entering the arena carrying her bag and she had no makeup on. And I'm like, or at least makeup that isn't the goth makeup. And I'm like, okay, for number one, I like the way she looks without makeup. Personally, I think that she looks much more like a human being than her goth look, but her goth look is iconic. I get it. So, but seeing her just look different, her hair is growing out a little bit. She's, kind of lessening on that goth makeup. I saw him like, okay, yeah, this is, I'm on board. I don't know. It's just a small thing, but I took note of it.
Yeah. I think she does her house shows without all that makeup. I've seen like pictures and video of her from house shows, and she does not have that full goth look. going on when she does house shows. So I'm like, I'm here for that natural queen too. Like I'm here for the Rhea journey. I love it.
Oh yeah, and she, even at WrestleMania, even if they get Becky to a good place of being believable to take down Rhea, I don't think the fans are going to be on board for Becky winning. I think they want mommy all the way.
Yes.
I mean, I think Rhea Ripley, even though she's not in Perth anymore, I think that they're going to be well behind Rhea Ripley going into WrestleMania. That it's just going to be, I think it's going to be a rough day for Becky Lynch, even if she gets to a good spot.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, well, moving on to something else massive that happened, and this is on Raw. I want your take on it. With Punk's announcement, his very emotional announcement, he's missing WrestleMania, which was very emotional and very believable. It wasn't an act at all. I feel bad for Punk too. What did you make of Drew McIntyre coming out and his statement about "I prayed for this"?
Oh gosh.
And then attacking him. I mean, what did you think?
We had mentioned a few weeks ago that I was like, I'm ready for Drew to turn dark. And he definitely turned extremely dark. I mean, as soon as he said that, my mouth dropped. And I don't know if Andrew is his full name, but you know, when someone does, like a child does something bad and you have to say their full name, I was like, Andrew, my gosh, clutching my pearls. I thought it was iconic. Like that right there, that line. When he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, they're going to be playing that promo in the background. Like, oh, it was so good. I'm here for full heel turn Drew. That was nasty. The beat down afterwards was like, oh my gosh. I love a good heel though. I did 100%. My gut dropped for Punk because I mean, this was supposed to be his year. This was when his dream was also supposed to be fulfilled. And I hate it because I just, I'm in my late 30s. And it's like, once you get to a certain age, and I am no athlete by any means, but once you get to a certain age, your body just starts to shut down. And I can't imagine at their level where they have been putting their body through the ringer for decades, that now being at the age he's at, where something it's not even someone's fault. It was just something that happened. Like how defeating that feels. I mean, for this to have happened to him multiple times, like, oh, it just crushed me. And I know that did tear me up. And I'm not a huge Punk fan, but in that moment, I felt like it was him and who he is as a person, not just his character. And I really did feel for him. But when Drew said that I had been praying for this moment, I thought, Jesus, Andrew. Well,
you talk about a career-defining moment for Drew. I mean, that moment when he said that, I said to myself, this is the Drew, not only the Drew we've been waiting for, but the Drew that I think is going to take him to Hall of Fame status. I mean, I really believed it was that big of a symbolic turn for him. The way he delivered it felt very genuine. I think there's a part of him that actually felt that way. That's how convincing it was for me.
It literally, I was like,
yeah,
you really mean this? Huh?
Yeah. I mean, how often do you get that from wrestling promos where as long as we've been watching wrestling, we're like, whoa, that sounded different. That felt different than all the other thousands of promos we've seen. Those promos don't happen often at all. So when they do, you take note and it grabs you and you're like, oh God, oh, holy crap.
And I love that he's playing into it on social media too. Like he's resharing.
Oh yeah.
He's posting videos of him doing arm workouts. Like don't miss out on arm day. Jesus, Drew.
That, and did you see the one he reposted, which was my favorite, of him laying on a grave where someone superimposed his face and he's given like the peace sign with Punk's tombstone of his WrestleMania dream. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So,
I'm full mom mode on Drew right now. And I'm like, Andrew,
go to your room.
I love it, but whoa.
Yeah, that was, because how often do you hear anyone say, I prayed for this or that? Like it's like language, like kind of it's religious. Like you just don't talk about that. It's not something you ever bring up. You don't talk about praying or anything spiritual, obviously. Like you just, that's a topic that you don't even like talk about language related to it. So when he said that, I'm like, whoa, like you never hear anyone even say something like that.
No.
So yeah, that was awesome. And then, like you said, the beatdown that followed was obviously something that'll lead to when Punk returns in sometime midsummer. It looks like June, July time, just in time for SummerSlam. He'll be back. So they'll shoot right into that program, which will be fun. And it also, for me, kind of puts Drew towards the top of a potential challenger for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. If Cody doesn't challenge Seth for WrestleMania, I think Drew is one of the top contenders. I know we just saw them have a program a few months ago, but right now Drew is on fire.
And what I love about, they are fun to watch in the ring. Like, I know we've seen it already, but the two of them together, that's the kind of match I could watch over and over again because they work so well together. Their matches are a lot of fun. So, and if Drew is this dark, I mean, can you imagine what he's going to put like Seth through if he is this dark and angry?
I know that's a good point too. Yeah, I mean, this version of Drew McIntyre, we've seen in a match on Monday Night Raw where he quote unquote accidentally hit a low blow on Sami Zayn and then he ended up winning. But yeah, I mean, that's the next step, is him getting vicious and very clearly purposefully cheating to win. And being vicious and maybe bloodying somebody. That is the next step in this evolution of the Drew turn, which for a while was kind of ambiguous. You didn't know. He had some lucky kind of opportunistic victories, and then he'd turn a little bit, but then he's kind of a good guy, and he talks about his mother, but then he turned. Now this is a definitive. There's no more ambiguity. He is here. He's a heel, and I love all of this. So, I just think he's a top contender now for the world title. It's just, how is this all going to shake out? I think we'll learn a lot more tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm excited for Raw. And hopefully,
no doubt. This
went down.
This is a Raw that I think a lot of us are going to tune into just for the fact of watching to see how WWE responds to all the backlash from the Cody Roman stuff. So, like, I mean, just to see, what is Cody going to say? Does WWE publicly acknowledge it? Do the announcers say something? Is there a message from Triple H? Like, how do they manage or navigate this, or do they ignore it altogether? So, I mean, that's a strategy too. So, all right. Well, as we kind of wrap things up a little bit, there's only one or two things else I want to ask you. What do you think about Logan Paul and Kevin Owens continuing their program here for the U.S. title?
I think it's perfect. I like to hate Logan. Logan is fun to hate. You've said this before, and I 100% agree with you. He has no business being that good in the ring. When you're watching Logan, you forget that he has not been doing this for a decade. He is fun to watch. I think KO is a good balance for him. Also, KO is ruthless, and he's always been a fan favorite. So I think this will be fun to see where this leads. I'm here for it. I think the way it ended at the Rumble, the story has to continue. God, now I'm turning into Cody. But I think their program has to continue because of the way that it ended at the Rumble. So let's keep it going.
Yeah, this is a fun program that I don't think Kevin Owens still is going to beat Logan Paul. I mean, he'll eventually earn his way into another shot at Chamber. That I think is pretty clear, but I don't think that there's an opportunity for him to actually beat Logan Paul yet, because I think I'm on board with the general thought, the group think. I hate to say that, but it is kind of group think, although I'm on board for it, of LA Knight facing Logan Paul at WrestleMania, and then LA Knight finally getting that big singles title victory at WrestleMania. I mean, they could go a different road, but maybe he's in some kind of fatal 4-way or whatever to get more men and more guys involved into this matchup. But that's probably what I think, even though I'm excited for the match itself that's not yet announced. I think that is going to be a hell of a matchup. I mean, they went to war in their last match. I mean, you saw Logan Paul. I don't know if you saw the interview. He looked like he was concussed. I mean, legitimately concussed, not putting on an act or in his character. For all the things that are said about Logan Paul, he puts it all out there. He kills himself inside the ring. There's not much you can say against his work ethic inside the ring. From a character perspective, he has a little work to do, but he feels like he's polished already. But Logan Paul, is going to always put it all out there. And I'm not a big fan of him for other things he's done in his personal life and all that. But when it comes to WWE and inside the ring, the guy just has it. So that's undeniable.
100%. And you're right. Like, I don't know much about Logan Paul outside of WWE, but when he's in the ring, he, like you said, he gives it his all. You can tell that he really respects being in the ring. You can tell that he really wants to put on a show, and he does that every single time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I'll leave it to you, Christy, before we wrap things up. And actually, before we do that, because I don't want to forget, I got to ask you, because I know you have your own podcast and your own business. So I'll let you have the stage for that if anyone else is interested in following you and seeing what else that you do besides obviously talk wrestling.
Yes, so I am a wedding planner. So I love weddings and wrestling. It's my two favorite W's. I am the owner of Southern Sparkle Weddings and Events. We are based in Tennessee, and I have a wedding planner podcast called the Wedding Planner Podcast. So definitely check it out. If you are getting married or engaged and need some inspiration, be sure to follow us there.
Awesome. Guys, I really recommend you check it out. And, well, Chrissy, the floor is yours, though. I mean, if there's a topic or two or a comment or two that you have about anything we didn't cover, I know, guys, there's a lot that happened in between. I know we didn't cover everything, but Chrissy, the floor is yours.
I'm trying to think of what else I wanted. I was like, I really want to talk to Matt about this. There was so much that happened this week. Drew was one.
Yep.
What's happening with my sweet love, R-Truth? He made a post on Instagram, I believe this over the weekend, that it was like a screenshot of like, what's a initiation to join a gang? And he was like, it's okay, guys. I'm still in. So he still thinks he's in. But I agree with you. My gut is this is going to be at Mania tag team, and Truth needs to hold a belt. Like, this is his turn. This is his time. Please let this man go to WrestleMania. After the last episode of SmackDown, like, I immediately went online and was like, can I afford this trip? Because it would be a full-on trip for me. That would definitely be a flight, not a drive. So hopefully I'll be there. That's my goal, is to go to Mania. I may have to sell an organ or two or some feet pics to get there, but I am going to make it happen. OnlyFans is your dream, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's disclaimer: I am not on OnlyFans, but
no, of course not. No,
thousands of their pedicure. Like, I could go to WrestleMania with that.
Right. That's what I know. I mean, that is the dream that I have tried to share as well. And I mean, I have thought about going, and it's time and money. It's the two things we're always after, right? It's like, man, obviously time off work. I mean, you're a mom, I'm a dad, and it's like, you got to navigate that. And then there's the expenses of the flight and the hotel and the additional food and merch and miscellaneous expenses. And then, all these things, and you got to add it all up. And it's like, but is it worth it? You're like, but is it worth
math all weekend, and I am not a math person. And I was like, okay, what do I have to sell to make this happen?
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. There was a moment, and I still am not a total no, that I'm like, yeah, but I'm in Albany, and it's like, it's not that far for me. I don't know. So we'll see. I might crunch some numbers as well with you, but yeah. So, well, awesome. I mean, I'm so glad that you were able to come back, and I'm glad that you're able to share your thoughts with me as we get into this even crazier WrestleMania season. I mean, think about what's happened over the last 2 weeks between the injuries, the lawsuits, The Rock coming back and being head of TK, or on the board of TKO, and the firings that have happened with Kevin Patrick. And it's just been absolutely wild over the last 2 weeks of wrestling. And, this is what is really fun about being a fan, though, is the passion that we all share for wrestling. And so I don't know if you have any final thoughts or comments before we wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, what a time to be a wrestling fan. Like, the roster is stacked. We have so much amazing talent. We have so much amazing star power. It's what a time to be a wrestling fan. Let's all just practice being kind wrestling fans to one another on social media.
Yeah, that's a good lesson for all, but I think not all will take that advice, and it'll fall on deaf ears, unfortunately. But I would agree. Yeah, let's all just take some perspective. It's just wrestling. It's just somebody's opinion. It's not going to kill you. Debate all you want, but it's the other stuff that I think we can kind of stop. But all right, well, Chrissy, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a blast as always, and I'm sure you and your son are going to enjoy the next 8 weeks of The Rock, whatever he does at WrestleMania 40. So I'm excited for both of you.
I am too. Thanks, man.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.